Dreaming God dreams. Look at my clock. I'm going to try to do better. All right? So we're going to get on this. We are in the fourth sermon of this Dreaming God Dreams. The reason it is important to dream God dreams is simple. It stirs up faith from the get me out of here mentality to I can change things here. That's why it's important. That's the first reason. First reason is that when you begin to dream God dreams, when you begin to grab a hold of what God is doing and how God is doing and what purpose and destiny God has for you, what it does is it stirs up that faith within you. Because all of a sudden you realize, hey, I got something to do. I got something I'm supposed to accomplish. If you never quit dreaming a God dream, you will never fail. Oh, you may struggle. There may be warfare that goes along with it, but you will never fail if you don't quit dreaming a God dream. We also covered last week that dreams and visions has nothing to do with your age, but instead preparation. I told you earlier in this series, dreaming a God dream is not just for you, but it's for that next generation like Caleb and some of those young men we were doing that Xbox tournament with. Thank you for those that came out and helped. Joe and Tina and Sandy. Where'd Sandy go? Sandy. I appreciate, and Violet, I appreciate the help. We had a great time. 20-something kids showed up, and it did everything I was looking for it to do. And that was, it started the process of building relationships so that we can bring change. There will never be real vision, or there will be no real vision for the next generation until this generation becomes dreamers of God's dream. When you begin to realize that it's the God dream that is, it's the birth canal for visions. It is that place that activates visions. And so until we begin to dream God dreams, there's not going to... You know why our young people have such a hard time in this generation? There's no real vision. There's no real destiny for their life. Oh, there's careers out there, but they look at our political arena, the economics that are out there, and what we find is there's no real vision. Christine teaches school here in town, and let me tell you about the vision of our young people here in this town. She asked a young girl not too long ago, she said, don't you want an education? So you can be, so you can do something, so you can get a good job, and so you can... You know what she said? No, I don't need an education. Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to do like my mama does, and I'm going to sit home and get the government to pay me. That's not just one that's thinking that way. These are fourth graders that have no vision. They have no purpose. They have no destiny. You know why? Because the generation before them sat on the couch and allowed the government to pay for them. No dream, no vision, no purpose to life, just surviving. And if we're not careful in the church, we become the same way. We become survivors instead of thrivers. We look at that world out there and say, oh, it's dark and it's wicked and I don't want any part of that. No, but we're the only chance it has to change. Dreaming God dreams changes our perspective from the, you can't do anything. Now, see, this is what I heard. Because you see, my dream, my vision, my purpose for coming to Live Oak County is to change Live Oak County. I asked everybody when I got here, I said, would you consider Live Oak County a holy county? Oh, without question it was, oh no. Why not? Well, because we've got drugs and alcohol and sin so on the rampage and crime, and the list goes on and on. So I said, let's change Live Oak County. And you know what I was told? You can't change Live Oak County. Live Oak County been Live Oak County forever. Nobody's going to change that. No dream. No vision. No purpose. And as long as there is no dream, no vision, no purpose, there is no destiny. And neither is there any real change. You see, until we can believe we can bring change, we're never going to bring change. Until we dream of a place. Oh, and I don't, listen, we come from Georgia, and the last 23 years we've been living in Georgia, you know what was unusual for us? That was we didn't get a school break for Martin Luther King Day around here. Okay? For 23 years we've been living in Georgia, and they take that serious, okay? Now, I don't know where your stance is at, but the man stood in Washington, D.C., and he was one of the greatest orators you'll ever hear. And he stood behind that podium, and he said, I have a dream that one day little black children, little white children are going to play together. I have a dream. Now, I don't know where you stand, don't care, because that's your personal belief, your personal opinion. But until you have a dream, you're never going to change nothing. You're never going to come to the point where you can step back 50 years later and say, you know what? That dream is becoming a reality in this day and time. Oh, I know there's still issues of racism. And let me tell you something. It's from both sides. It really is. We were in a congregation that was pretty much 50-50. We had black and white, and we worshiped together. And you know, that was all right until those Hispanics started coming along. Those people from Guatemala, Puerto Rico, they started, and yes, they were illegal. We knew they were illegal. They came in like everybody else does. Illegal. Now, see, it wasn't a big deal for me. I'm from Texas. Didn't make me any difference. But oh, you know what? Racism began to flare up. Not just from the white folk. Because you know what? Until God does something in your life, you're going to be racist. You just are. You're going to be prejudiced. You just are. And even when God begins to move in your life, some of you people won't let that go. Where's the dream now? What about the dream for your life? What about the God dream for your life? You see, after a year and a half of being here and declaring over and over and over that we're going to change Live Oak County, you know what I'm hearing now? Well, maybe we can. That's positive growth right there. The importance of dreaming, this is the second step. The importance of dreaming a God dream is there can never be vision without God dreams. God dreams are the birth canal for visions. You want the next generation, parents, you want your next generation to have vision? Then bless God, you better have a dream. Maybe why you don't have a vision is because the generation before you didn't hand you a God dream. But you know what? Don't let that keep you from handing a God dream to the next generation. A God dream that says, you know what? Live Oak County can be a holy county. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. You can have a God dream that may never be realized. It's up to you whether it gets realized or not. It's the choices that you make. It's whether you grab a hold of that God dream to make it a reality for your life. Because can I tell you, everyone sitting in this place has a dream from God. It's just waiting for you to unwrap it. What, you think you got here by accident? I don't care what your circumstances were. There's not a person sitting in here that's here by accident. There's not a person in here that God hasn't already wrapped a nice God dream for you. I don't care what your economics is. I don't care how broke you are or how much money you got. You have as much right to that God dream that He's made for you as anybody else does. You've got one. Whether you unwrap it or not is up to you. It's yours. It's been prepackaged and set on the shelf waiting just for you. Now you see, you may take it down and unwrap it. I have gifts that I have not particularly got any use out of. You know why? Because I didn't do anything with them. There are some gifts. For Father's Day, I found out, mostly because I was going to buy one on my own. My kids, now listen, my kids have a problem, and that is When Daddy wants something, Daddy just gets it. I don't drop a bunch of hints. I don't go, Father's Day's got... No, I don't. Listen, if I want it, if I want a new tool, I go get it. If I want clothes, I go get it. I don't wait for somebody else to. Christmas time, my wife buys me what clothes she wants me to wear. That's great. I try to wear those. I buy her clothes. She buys mine, except occasionally we go out and, for my wife about 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I told her, you're not allowed to buy any more clothes for yourself. Because she was nice, comfortable, big baggy pants, the big flowing shirts. No offense, she began to dress like her mama. I told her, I don't want you to look like your mama. So, me and my daughters, we went and we bought her clothes. Now, we have bought her clothes for years, and she's getting better at choosing her own clothes now, because she knows if she buys something that I'm not going to like, we're going to be taking that back. Because let me tell you something, my wife dresses for me. It's just that simple. And when I dress, I do my best to dress the way she wants me to look. Now, I've got some baggy pants because I've lost some weight, and she is continually cleaning out my closet. And I found out there's a couple other things got to go. I put my bathing suit on the other day, and I have to get me a new bathing suit because she said I couldn't wear it anymore. So, But you know what? Somewhere in our life, we have to begin to develop. I've got some things that I didn't get any use out of. They were gifts. I didn't get any use out of. That's the same way with the gifts God has for you. They're there. Your God dream is waiting on you. What you do with your God dream is up to you. So you can have some dreams that are never realized. I know men and women of God that had awesome God dreams, but they never came to a reality because they didn't take and do anything with those. They allowed distractions from the world or distractions from the church take them away from their God-given dream. But you can never have a God-inspired vision without first having a God dream. So let's go to Genesis, 37th chapter. First verse. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. And these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Belial. And if you know the story, it's interesting. Just, go into the former chapters in Genesis, read about Jacob. Had several wives, mostly because he got tricked. Anyway, long story. But this was one of his wives never mind, long story. The lad was the sons of Belial, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Verse 5, and Joseph dreamed a dream. And he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and stood also upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. One of the first principles you're going to have to understand about getting a God dream in your life, and that is, not everybody needs to know. I'm going to be honest with you. Not everybody needs to know some of the things God has put in your heart. Why? Because they're not going to have the passion that you have for it. They're not going to have the understanding. It wasn't their dream. It wasn't their purpose. It wasn't their destiny. Not everybody needs to hear the dream that God gives you. There are some that need to, but not everybody. Not everyone will have your passion, your drive, or your scars. They won't have it. Can I tell you that the dream that God gives you is going to flow well with you, however you were raised and however scarred you are or however good you are. The dream was developed specifically for you. It's not a big package thing. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It is a definite, specific dream for your life. It was developed just for you. Before you were born, before you were created, the Word of God says, before I was created, He knew me. He knew all about me. He knew everything that was going to make me up. He knew everything, all my likes and my dislikes. He was going to know my failures. He was going to know my successes. He was going to know my strength. He was going to know my weaknesses. And with that in mind, the God that I serve developed a nice dream just for me. But not everybody's going to understand the dream. There are still portions of the dreams that I have for this place that I've not shared with anybody, not even our leadership. You know why? This is part of it. It's because, you know what? I believe the God I serve speaks to them just like He speaks to me. And if He speaks to them like He speaks to me, then guess what? If I'll hold on just a little bit, I'll hear that very same vision begin to come from them. And you know what? Then I can confirm what's going on. You see, I'm not one of those that say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this and this and this and this and this, and here's the way we're going to do it. And here's plan A, and this is the sub-plans, and this is the sub-folders, and here it all is, all laid out. No. Ask my leadership. You know why? I want to hear God speak through them. I believe in them. Listen, some of them I didn't know Tammy hardly at all. In fact, I didn't know Tammy hardly at all, other than coming to the Bible study. Didn't know. But when God said, for me, that's all I need. God said. And when God said, it didn't mean get to know her, get to know how she feels, no. God said, I asked her, she said yes. It's that simple. Why? Because we don't have time to patty cake around trying to get to know one another before we're going to do the will of God. We haven't got time. Hey, think about this. And yes, as we get to know one another, we'll work better. Goes with all the leadership, all of that, knowing all of you, all of that will happen. But can I ask you something that's about the drug program? Yes, we need more stuff for it. I understand that. But who can we help today that needs something today? Who are we not helping today? What are we not doing today? You see, there's always going to be somebody that says, you're too young, you're too old, you're unworthy. I call these people the unners. I don't know if you've ever met Mr. and Mrs. Unner or not. Those are the ones that tell you you're unequipped. But if you get a better education, then maybe later on, you're unworthy. How dare you think you can do something in the things of God? You hadn't known God but that long. Do you know what your past looks like? You're unworthy. You see, the Unners, they live at church. I don't know if y'all have known that or not. They're dream crushers. Because you know what? When you open that dream, and God begins to reveal to you your purpose and your destiny, you know what you are? You're all excited like a kid on Christmas Day. You know those kids. I got one. My grandson, he starts hollering the minute he begins to open the prayer. He don't even know what it is. He's all excited about whatever it's going to be. He don't even know what it's going to be. But he's all excited. And when God begins to give you those dreams, When God begins to open up and you begin to realize you've got purpose and you've got destiny and you've got something beating in your heart, all of a sudden you're all excited and you're thrilled and you're passionate and you're all of these things. And then Mr. and Mrs. Unners come in. Now, whether the Unners ever opened their gift or not, I don't know. But they step through the door and say, you can't do that. You're unequipped. Don't ever, ever find yourself related to the Unners. Because let me tell you something, you don't want your dream or vision, you don't want to tell it to the Unners. Maybe it's because the Unners never figured out their dream, their destiny, or their purpose. Or maybe they opened it and they decided they were unworthy, unequipped, uneducated. Therefore, as great as a gift as it wasn't for them. Let me give you some advice. Don't be jealous when God's moving in somebody else's life. Because who knows if the next gift off the shelf may be yours. Don't be offended and pray these prayers that, oh God, you're moving in that one's life, and God, you're moving in this other one's life, and God, you're moving in their finances. God, why aren't you moving in mine? And we become jealous, and we become Unners. Don't do it. Because let me tell you something about the Unners. The Unners are never, ever, ever going to do anything for God. They're never going to change one life for the good. They're never going to step into any destiny or purpose for their life. Because you know what? The reason they're the Unners is because they feel like they are unequipped, uneducated, or unholy. Therefore, if they're that way, surely y'all are that way. Verse 9 says, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. He just didn't get enough the first time. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars, they bowed down to me. And he told it his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him. But his father observed the saying. Now let me tell you something about a God dream. A God dream will always go through the very first thing. When you open that package and you begin to realize that you've got a dream, the first thing that happens is distress. A time of discouragement and despair that says, give up because it is too big. Lay it down because it will never come to pass. The first battle, the very first one you're going to fight once you open that package and you realize you have a dream, is very simple. Did God really give that to me? Did God really say that for my life? Now you see, that sounds a little familiar. That did God say stuff. Genesis, the third chapter, you find a nice story about a serpent. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. The first battle you're going to face. Did God really say that? You've heard me use the term because I live by this. You've got to get a God said for you. I have lived my life from one God said to the next God said. Because if God said it, that's good enough, whatever it is. We must determine, you must determine in your life what is the God said. Now let me ask you a question. Do you have a God said? Or are you just kind of out there living life? Think about it. Do you have a God said? Do you have that God said that no matter what hell is going on in your life, you can turn to the enemy and say, but my God said to me. You see, I have no doubt what I'm supposed to do in Texas. Why? Because God said. Well, why do you have two churches? God said. I don't know why. He just said. And so you know what my responsibility is? To the best of my ability, do what He said. That's all my responsibility is. Do you know it's not my responsibility to make it a success? It's not my responsibility to make it a failure. It's not my responsibility. My only responsibility is to be obedient to the God said in my life. You know what that does? It takes a world of burden off of me. Yes, we need property. Yes, there's things we need to do. Yes, we've got a mission trip coming up. We need $25,000. Have we got that? No. But you know what? God said. You know why I'm going to Peru? Because God said. I don't have the heart for missions like Tammy does. I had made up my mind. Bless God, we're going to bless Tammy. We're going to support her. We're going to send her. We're going to provide for her. We're going to do whatever we need to do, and Tammy's going to go. And that was fine until God spoke to me and said, this year, you've got to go. But God, I'm fine with supporting her. But God said, not only do I have to go to Peru, I got to go to India. It was not my thing. But God said. So you know what? I'm going to Peru. I don't know how we're going to work it all out. We've got to have lots of money. We've got to have lots of money just for the tickets to get over. But you know what? As long as I do what God said, God take care of it. You know the only problem I have in my life is when I try to step out of the God said. You know why I have a problem when I step out of the God said into the good said? It's because here, I got to do it. Now see, that's a lot of you. You're not in this, God said. You're over here. But God, I want to do this. And God, I want to do that. Now see, I could have said, Tammy's going. I'll support Tammy. Here's the problem. All of a sudden, I'm not in the God said anymore. Now, I'm having issues. If I get back over here, I don't know how we're going to raise the money. But God said. So we're going to do whatever God provides for us to do. Either a little or a lot, but it's whatever God said. You know why I don't have to worry about the trip, whether it's going to be a success or not? Am I going to go through stuff? Yes. Is there going to be a battle? Yes. Is there going to be trouble? Yes. Is there going to be conflict? Yes. Always is. You go on the mission field, and listen, you live life. You get up out of bed in the morning. Well, some of you, before you get up out of bed in the morning, you got issues. So yes. You see, what we want is I got a God said. And boy, All right, I got a God said. So you know what? Not going to be any fire. Not going to be a struggle. Not going to be a trial. Not going to be a flood. Not going to be an issue. Because I got a God said. That's why so many of you are disappointed. Because you feel like you're in your God said, but all hell's breaking loose. In Isaiah it says, when I go through the fire, not if I go through. When I go through the flood, not if. He will take care of me. You see, when you have a God said and you depend on that God said, then when you look at the fire, you look at the storm, you look at the struggle, you go, you know what? This ain't a big deal. You know why I'm not worried about whether we're growing or not growing? Oh, well, we need to do this, or oh, we can do that, or oh, please, yes, we're going to do whatever we can do. But it's not my responsibility to grow the church. You realize that? It's not mine. Because when He said, start a church, this is what He told me. If you'll just lift me up, I'll take care of the rest of it. So, guess what my responsibility is? And my only responsibility. Lift him up. Now, what I found is when I lift him up, I get to loving y'all. Then I'm worried about you, and I'm praying about you, and I'm texting you, and I'm finding out what's going on. But all my responsibility is to lift him up. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to fail. There'll be times I fall. There'll be times I won't text you when you're sick. I won't communicate with you. Not my intentions, just life. But you know what? My God said, all I have to do is do this. And He'll take care of this. Now what's your God said? Because you see, what racks us the most, what causes the most issue or the most pain is one simple thing, and that is fear. You know what that fear is? Did God really say? Now, there'll be some times I can confirm that for you. Yes, God said that. There'll be other times that you have to decide whether it was a God said or not. But this is what you have to realize. You cannot judge your God said on what you're going through. When God tells you to give, normally it's when you're broke. I don't know why He does it that way. I don't know why we just don't win the lottery. Why can't He give us the numbers? Oh God, there'd be so much we could do. You're not faithful with the $10, you're not going to be faithful with the 10 million. And yes, normally God says give when you're broke. You know why? Because He's wanting to get you out of the broke state you're in. And I'll be honest with you, the only way to get out of broke is to give. Doesn't have to be a lot. I'm not saying you have to give thousands. But you have to catch a mentality of giving. You have to catch a mentality that says, I'm going to sow those seeds. Even if it's just one seed, I'm still going to sow it. 1 John, the 4th chapter. Whosoever shall confess that Jesus is the Son of God, God dwelleth in Him, and He is God. And He in God. And we have known and believed that the love that God hath to us. God is love. And he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. Because as He is, so are we in this world. Wow, that in itself is a statement right there. Just grasp a hold of that. Next verse though. There is no fear in love. But perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. And that's where some of you are at today. There will always be an opportunity to fear in the things of God. The God thing is unfamiliar and it's supernatural and it takes faith to walk in it. So yes, there's always going to be an opportunity to fear when God says in your life, when God gives you that God dream, when God lays in your hands the purpose and destiny for your life. Yes, there is opportunity to be afraid. Because you know what? If it's a real God dream, I covered it early in the series. You can't do it on your own. Therefore, you look at that God dream and you go, ain't a way in the world. Oh, come on, you know you've said that. God, you want me to give what? Oh, that couldn't be God. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Oh, that couldn't be God. You want me to do what, God? You want me to go where, God? You want me to say what? Oh, I know. You see, you don't take on being a pastor without asking those kind of questions. You just don't. Every day. But you see, I learned a long time ago. Why did we go through all the stuff we went through as the gospel lamplighters? Because God said. It's the only reason. Because any sane person wouldn't go through all of that stuff. I will tell you the story sometime. Because while there was great successes, there was also some very low valleys and hard times. Not just physically. Not just laying under a van shivering. Oh, those are just physical. But oh, it's those spiritual battles. Those times of discouragement. When you look around and all you've got is a God said. But you know what I found? That's enough. You know why people fall? Because they're not sure God said. Now, we've got a couple other things we've got to go through in this series. But first, you got to have a God said. I stand and look at a generation that, even my generation, they don't have a fresh God said in their life. Don't be offended, but they still sing the same old songs. And you know what? They preach the same old sermons. Turn or burn. You know. Those same. If you ask them what their beliefs, how their beliefs had changed in the last 5 years, they normally answer, well, man, this old-time religion. No. Let me be honest with you. If your beliefs hadn't changed over the last 5 years, there's something wrong. Oh, I'm not talking about your foundation, please. But as God builds a house, you know what you find? You ever watched a house being built? Foundation gets laid, and then the skeleton goes up, right? Then you think, well, it's coming right along, but then it seems to kind of hesitate for a while. Why? Because they're getting all that inside stuff done. They're getting all the wiring run, all that plumbing taken care of, getting all of that. Then maybe the outside goes up, but the inside's still not fit. Let me tell you something. You may have those foundational beliefs, and there are some that will never change. But can I tell you, as God reveals Himself to you more and more, you're supposed to change. And with that, some of your beliefs are supposed to change. I don't believe the same way I did 5 years ago. Lord, I don't believe the way I did a year and a half ago on some things. Why? Because God begins to reveal things. And He gives me a fresh God said. That's how I live my life. Outside of that, Why would I want to live outside of what God said? So, always, first thing your God dream is going to go through is distress. As you make up your mind whether it's a God dream, a God said, or not. But once you get that, you know what then? No matter what lie the enemy tries to tell you, you can always say, but